Hi and welcome back to October Red Boxing the review. The only reason why I've decided to do this today, without music, without any copyright infringement, without anything, just plain old me, sitting down in front of my laptop, is I wanted to discuss with you the light heavyweight division. There's a lot of debate and a lot of storm online, who's ranked where, and whatever it is, and I just wanted to go through like the official kind of like rankings. Obviously on the weekend we had a superb fight between Artur Beterbiev and Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde was stopped via corner in the later rounds. I think it was round 8, don't quote me on it. I'm scared to even quote anything from that page, from BT, in case they try and mess up my YouTube as well. But here we are, because it's brought into a debate on who we believe should be ranked where. Now, we know that we've got Artur Beterbiev and we've got Dmitry Bivol. They're at the top. But we're looking at worldwide in relation to what belts they've got. And obviously their status of 0 losses. So we're going to start off with the WBO, okay? And these are 2023. Some of them you have to go to 2022 December because they haven't updated for January 2023, albeit we are at the end of January now, I know that. So we're going to start off with the WBO, the belt holder. So light heavyweight, we've got Artur Beterbiev. Then coming in, we're talking about male boxing as well, by the way. At number 1, we've got Anthony Yarde. Number 2, we've got Callum Smith. Number 3, we've got Joshua Buatsi. And then number 4, we've got Jean Pascal. Okay, so we'll go there. So that is the rankings as per the WBO for 2023. Then we move on to the IBF. We've got at the top there, that's funny, that's interesting. So we've still got the Dmitry Bivol at the top, WBA belt, WBC Artur Beterbiev, WBO Artur Beterbiev. So coming in after those two, we've got Anthony Yarde, number 3, Jean Pascal, again, number 4. You can go further down, but I'm just going to do it for those at the moment. Then we move on to the next body, which is the WBC, the green and gold. Obviously, Artur Beterbiev has got the belt for that. But then, after him, we've got number 1, Callum Smith. Number 2, Joshua Buatsi. Number 3, Anthony Yarde. And number 4, Joe Smith Jr. Okay, so these are the names that keep popping up. WBA, and this one I find quite interesting. We've got, obviously, the current holder is Dmitry Bivol, but then obviously we've got Artur Beterbiev with the other 3 belts. But then number 1, we've got Joshua Buatsi. Number 2, Dan Aziz. And number 3, Richard Bolotniks. Okay, so those are the ratings. There's been a bit of things on Twitter, online, where we've got, you know, who do we think's, you know, the next 3. I've seen Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith, and I've seen Anthony Yarde. Those 3 seem to be the top 3 names. There was a debate online on the Undefeated podcast. I mention them quite a lot, actually. But anyway, Undefeated podcast, they're here on YouTube, IG, and Twitter. Don't know if they've done a TikTok yet. But there was a debate online. I tried to get through to say my 50 pence worth, because there were some guests that came on and said they are ranking Anthony Yarde at the number 1 position when it comes to the UK. We're talking about UK fighters at the moment. Now, my argument is if you're going to bring Anthony Yarde up to number 1, love me or hate me for this, where are you going to put Craig Richards? Because Craig Richards went the distance with Dmitry Bivol, who everybody thinks, the majority think, will beat Artur Beterbiev. So where's Craig Richards in this mix? To me, you can't put Anthony Yarde up there. Anthony Yarde has gone for 2 world title shots. I can't remember the amount of years apart. Is it 3 years apart, 2 years apart? Maybe 3. Forgive me for the non-accuracy. In fact, let me get up Box Rec. And I will tell you. I very rarely go to Box Rec. A good friend of mine that's also a fighter said to me, don't use Box Rec, go to the actual governing bodies for the belts itself, because it gives you, albeit they may have different names as you can see there. However, it's more accurate than Box Rec. So I use Box Rec to look at how many fights they've had, etc., etc. So let's have a look. So Anthony Yarde is 23, 3, no draws. He's ranked, according to Box Rec, like I said, pinch of salt, number 9 worldwide, number 3 in the UK. Artur Beterbiev, 8th round, TKO stoppage. When did he fight Kovalev? 2019, yeah. So what, 4 years ago? Coming into 4 years, 4 years ago, he fought Kovalev. So we look at that and we look at the people that Anthony Yarde has faced. He's fought, the top 2 names that he's fought, obviously Artur Beterbiev goes without saying. And the last time he went up for I think it was a WBO. Yeah, the WBO belt. He came up short. And what round was that? Getting these pop-ups on here. It was a TKO. I can't remember what round that was. So he's gone up against, these are world level fighters, yeah, not British level. He's jumped, I'd say, onto world level twice, and twice he's come up short. His last performance, best performance that I've seen him ever do. I've said that yesterday in my review. But I'm struggling to see how we can rank him number 1 based on who he's gone up against. Because then, like I said, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to bring Craig Richards into it. Let's have a look. Craig Richards. And Craig Richards is nowhere in the top 4 of the world rankings. Let's have a look. Right. Craig Richards, this is Box Rec again. Number 16 in the world, number 5 UK. So he's fought Joshua Buatsi, Dmitry Bivol. Okay, that went 2 points. So Dmitry Bivol is arguably the one that everybody thinks will win, maybe points, against Artur Beterbiev. So where are you scoring Craig Richards in this? Okay. You can't, to me, you can't just say, okay, that opponent's gone for those 2 world title fights, so we're going to put him as number 1. Or are we doing this like in compartments based on who you've fought, who you've gone up against, the world challenges that you've took? Then I can kind of see it. But to me, Joshua Buatsi, with the clean record, yeah, let's have a look at his competition. Fair enough, he hasn't gone up for the world stuff yet. I'm not disputing that. But Joshua Buatsi is still the one with the clean record. So to me, he remains at number 1 for the UK. Who has Joshua Buatsi fought? Let me go through this. So he's Craig Richards, Bolotniks, who Craig Richards is going to be fighting next. Dos Santos, Chelik, and other names on there that are not going to like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. There's a few names on there. However, he's still got that clean 0 record. That's why I'd rank him at number 1. Please feel free to correct me, because you probably will anyway, because we all have different opinions. But then we get to position 2, and In fact, before I comment on that, Callum Smith has come up in weight, hasn't he? Because Callum Smith's not always been a light heavyweight. Let's have a look. Oh, now it's telling me to log in. I'm asking too many questions and I can't be bothered to log in. So let's get BoxRec up on the phone. Callum Smith. Right, let's have a look. Mundo. And he's ranked number, well, that's according to BoxRec. But that's not even. So obviously he's fought Canelo. He's come up in weight, and I think it's his last 2 fights. He's come up in weight. So will I be comfortable in ranking him when he's had 2 fights at light heavyweight? I don't know. That's where the jury's out with me. And this is where it comes down to who do I think has the 2nd and 3rd place. So when I look at the rankings, and like I said, the WBO has got Anthony Yarde at 1, Smith at 2, Joshua Buatsi. I'm still putting Joshua Buatsi at number 1. Then I put Anthony Yarde at number 2, and arguably I'd put Craig Richards at number 3. Callum Smith's had 2 fights, coming into 3 fights at light heavyweight. It's all going to be subjective. IBF is putting Anthony Yarde, Jean Pascal, Joel Smith Jr., but they've put them in 3rd, 4th and 5th place. They're saying that they're not rating 1st and 2nd place, but next in line they're saying it's Anthony Yarde again. Buatsi's not in those rankings. When you go further down, you see Dan Aziz. Dan Aziz is another one that we can't sleep on, but obviously he's on the cusp of going at European level. So yeah, we can't really put him in that bracket yet because he is taking his time to hold on to that British belt. He's got to defend it, I think, twice. So he's got to have 3 fights to hold it properly. And then he's going for is it the Commonwealth? European? Yeah, he's going for another belt again. So the WBC has put Callum Smith as number 1, Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yarde. With those, like I said, I'd mix it up. Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yarde, Callum Smith. Is Craig Richards dropped off there because he's not that active? Number of fights, what is it? But that's how I think it should. That is my point of view, my personal opinion on the light heavyweight and why Joshua Buatsi should remain at number 1. When you're looking at world challenges, yes, Anthony Yarde has gone up there twice, but he's lost twice, okay? So it's like there's no real 2nd place in boxing unless we're ranking people based on who they've fought. But then, like I said, you've got to put Craig Richards in for fighting Dimitri Bivol. You can't leave him out. If you're doing that for Yarde, you've got to bring Craig Richards into the argument. Because Craig Richards went the distance as well. He didn't get stopped. He went the distance. And like I said, repeating myself, parrot on the shoulder. Bivol is the one that everyone's topping to beat Beterbiev, even though personally, and I'm a fan of both fighters, I think Beterbiev still beats Bivol. I've been hearing father time. I've been hearing he's slowed down. Yes, that is the wear and tear of boxing. But I've always said, with Artur Beterbiev, look at his training style. Look at what he does in the gym. And then look at how he boxes. The Russians, or like say the Eastern European style boxing, there's something they tend to... Alexander Usyk does the same thing. They move around on their feet a lot. They're always continuously moving and they're looking for their shots. Where Usyk... I'm slipping into the heavyweight now. Where Usyk is just concentrating on scoring a point, so he's just pop, pop, pop. I'm not saying that his punches don't hurt, but he's looking at a point scoring point of view. But then you've got Beterbiev that sits down on his shots to deliver the power. I said Anthony Yarde, Beterbiev, both powerful punchers. I said when it gets inside, we will then determine who can withstand whose power. Bivol likes to box long and he's sort of in straight lines. So that is my rationale for believing once Beterbiev finds his range and gets inside, he'll be able to control that fight. Maybe I'm wrong. What do I know? But that's just my 50 pence worth. Yes, credit to Anthony Yarde for the performance that he put on because it was a stellar performance. But I don't understand why people would push him up to number one, because arguably you're going to have to do the same for Craig Richards then. There's going to have to be some kind of debate between those two. Just my thoughts. I don't know. Let me know what you think. By the way, if you haven't already, I don't usually like plugging myself, but I'm going to do it. Subscribe to the channel. It's growing nicely. I really appreciate it. My old IG got deleted because of third-party reporting of copyright infringement. Thanks for that, you guys. But I've got a new IG, which you can find on my YouTube page as well. So it's October Red Media. Obviously, I am media. But at the moment, we're focusing on boxing. So I am still October Red Boxing, but under the IG handle of October Red Media, all one word. Let's keep it nice and simple. We've got the fight coming up this weekend, which I'll watch. I'll do a review on Monday, and any other stuff that I'd like to discuss or go over with you, I'll come on here and do something then. And then next week, obviously, we're moving into the boxer card, where we've got my favourite, Caroline Dubois, one of my favourites on the card as well. And to be fair, a fight that's probably underrated or hasn't been spoken about enough on there is Zach Chelli and Chris Sims Jr. That one should be a good one as well. So I should be covering the media events and obviously post-fight for that. I will be popping into some boxing gyms soon to get some more content out for you guys as well. I appreciate you rocking with me. Hopefully what I've said makes sense. Please feel free to discuss in the comments if you don't like what I've said. I don't mind. And until the next time, stay ready. Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.